The Saints are getting good news across the board heading into week 2. At least I think they are. I think it's an awesome opportunity for them to prove, like, hey, we are here. We are for real. And I know what you're thinking. It's the Cowboys, right? We're playing the Cowboys. What are they? How do you prove that they're real? Well, you're right. If you're playing the Cowboys in the playoffs, it doesn't prove anything because the Cowboys always lose in the playoffs. But you know when the Cowboys are good? The Cowboys are good when it doesn't matter as much. And that is when you're playing them. You're playing them in week 2 when it doesn't matter as much. And both of you are coming off absolute drudgings of your opponents. I mean, the Cowboys absolutely put the walloping on the Browns. Man, that is a disaster of a quarterback situation over there. Meanwhile, you guys took the Panthers and said, oh, you got a new coach, all right? That's great. He's going to fix Bryce Young. Not so fast, my friends. You're going to have to wait, as the great Lee Corso said, not so fast, right? You're going to have to wait against somebody else because we are going to look like absolute world beaters. The Saints scored on every single drive, if I'm not mistaken, that Derek Carr was in the game. So I said in this that the Saints are getting a double dose of good news. So what is it? What is it? And I want to go back first to talk about the first part of this good news. All right? And the first one, actually, I'm going to go back to week 1. When you played the Panthers, you have 2 teams. One with the Saints, who have a new offensive coordinator who's coming from a proven system, all right, both while playing and helping Kirk Cousins out in Minnesota. And then last year, sitting under Kyle Shanahan. Like, there's a lot. And Kubiak, let's be honest. He's a Kubiak, right? So he has that proven lineage. But you never know how a guy's going to do until he actually gets in the game. You had that for the Saints. And then for the Panthers, their head coach is a guy who rejuvenated Baker Mayfield's career and had him playing really, really well with the Bucs. Not to mention it's a divisional game, right? So you're sitting here and you're like, all right, there's a lot going on. And it proved that your hire may have been even the better one. It also proved that when in the right system, which we've seen Derek Carr close to the right system before, there were some good years with the Raiders, all right? But we've never seen him in this exact system, I don't think. I mean, my brain could be failing me, right? But if you're in the right system, if you're put in a position to succeed, I don't think there's any question in my mind on whether or not Derek Carr can be good. If Sam Darnold can go to the Minnesota Vikings and play in this similar system and look like a world beater, I get it was against the Giants, but they spent a lot of money on their defense, all right? But if you can go against the Giants and look like a world beater, Sam Darnold, a journeyman quarterback, you're telling me that Derek Carr can't have success here with the Saints? Like, of course he can. So I think the first bit of good news is that Kubiak is a good coach. All right. And just to remind you, he's a guy that he's gone back and forth from college and pro. He was from 05 to 09. He was with Colorado State. He was with A&M from 10 to 12. All right, then he was with the Vikings for 13 and 14, and Kansas in 2015, the Broncos from 16 to 18. That's not a terrible spot to be during that time. I don't know if you know what was going on there, right? And then he was with the Vikings again in 19 to 21, and then he was with the Broncos again in 22, and then last year with the 49ers. He's well-traveled, and now he's got his shot. And I think he's going to prove very quickly that this can work. All right, you have the weapons. Chris Olave is a phenomenal wide receiver. We know that. All right, I think so, at least. I hope so, because I'm counting on him in multiple fantasy football leagues. Rashid Shaheed, I went and bought all the stock I could in that guy when it comes to fantasy football. If put in the right system, he can absolutely be successful. I'm not saying he's a number one, but he's there. You know what Alvin Kamara gives you. You know the flexibility that Taysom Hill can give you. All right? And Derek Carr has the arm talent to get it done. The question is, can it work in here? Can it work in here? And if you're in the right system and it's made really obvious for you, which it clearly was, okay, which it very clearly was when we're talking about the game against the Panthers, I think it can work. All right, so that's the first bit of good news, is that you have found, I truly believe, a proven good offensive coordinator that is going to make things happen for you. He just is. All right? The second bit of good news is that Derek Carr understands he's playing Von Miller. All right? And Von Miller. Why did I say Von Miller? All right? I know I said Von Miller. I'm talking Micah Parsons here. It's because Derek Carr on facing Micah Parsons, he really reminds me of Von Miller. All right, he's buttering him up. All right, that's a really good idea, especially if you have an injured rookie tackle. All right, you need Von Miller being very nice to you. So here's the question. All right, here's the question I think we have to answer with the Saints. How real is this defense? Like, how real is this defense? If you ask Cam Jordan, he says that this defense is really, really good. I believe it might have been on the St. Brown podcast, believe it or not, where he was talking about, they're like, what's the best defense you've played with? He goes, this one, right? And I don't know if that's true, but then he started talking about it, all right? He's like, you got Lattimore, proven player. He's like, you got Tyrann Mathieu, proven player, all right? You got Davis, proven player. He's like, you got me, proven player. Granderson, you got Brissy on the inside. He's like, we have good players. Fred Warner, good player. Pete Werner, sorry, proven player. All right, Fred Warner, Pete Werner, my bad. Easy mistake. Very different players, just to be clear. All right, but it's a good defense. So if this offense can come up to speed, right, and I think, yes, it looked awful for the Panthers in week 1, but I think a lot of that was because of the Saints. I know Bryce Young did not look good, but the Saints had him in struggles. All right? So when you do that, when you have weapons like Olave, when you have a weapon like Rashid Shaheed, when you have Tipton, all right, when you can have quality center play with Eric McCoy, when you have Cesar Ruiz playing the right guard, when you have the new and very talented, all right, Fuiaga playing at left tackle, like, you can have a confidence level that this offense is going to continually churn out some points. The question is, will the defense help them? And I think the answer is yes. Now, with being in salary cap, you know what, all right, for like 5 years in a row, trying to find ways to pay players, pushing money forward, the Saints continue to find ways to put together a quality product on the field, or at least a quality roster. And when I look over this roster, I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I see a roster that could absolutely contend for and win the NFC South. And the NFC South, that was the joke of divisions just a year ago, right? I think is a greatly improved division. The Falcons have made moves like crazy. Will it get them over the hump? I don't know. Week 1 didn't look that way, right? The Bucs have assembled what might be one of the single most talented offenses as far as position and talent and offensive line and complementary pieces in the NFC. And then you have this roster. I don't see an extreme weakness anywhere on it. All right? The question is, can the strength be good? Can the older players continue to play well? Can guys like Paulson Adebo replicate what they did last year and prove that that is the norm? And can the other players that are role players continue to play at a decently high level? And I think the Saints can have a lot of success, but it was a lot of fun, wasn't it, watching them in week 1? All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.